Hello, I'm Kyle, and this is our Force 5 Getting Started tutorial. Today, we are going to cover where to find more learning resources and tutorials, the layout of Force 5, what a final report looks like and its different sections, entering text into your survey, making findings and recommendations, and finally, how to print out your final report or produce a PDF. The first resource you can use is the Getting Started document. You can find it in the Help menu under Getting Started with Force 5. This is pretty much a document that describes all the same things we'll talk about in this video, but some users might find it easier to comprehend in the written form. If not, it still makes a good quick reference guide. The other resource is again in the menu under Tutorial Assistance. Here, you'll find all the tutorial videos that we offer. This is the full list here as of right now. If there's any that you don't see in there or something that you're wondering if we have a video on, you can find more videos than come with the program by default by downloading them by going to Help, check for Update within Force 5 itself. Here you'll see any videos you don't currently have, along with several other things such as sample surveys and templates. Up top is the different versions of Force 5 that are available for download at any particular time. You can either select just one and download, or you can select all unselected files and download them all at once. Next, we'll go over the layout of Force 5. We'll open a survey for this. First, note that we are using default visual settings in Force 5, which you can find under the View menu at the top. The defaults are simple and navigation set to outline. Starting with the New Survey button, this one will allow you to start a new survey. Next down is Survey Management, where you can see a list of all the surveys you're working on or have finished. Next down is Photo Management. Here you can add or manipulate photos to your survey. And the final one on the left-hand side is the Printer button, where you can preview or produce a PDF of your survey and ultimately print it out if you wish. On the right-hand side, at the top, we've got the Next and Previous section, which will jump you. See, now we're in Specific Information. Now we're in Definition of Terms under the General Information. The blue arrows will go to the Next and Previous Not Addressed Item, or item with a blue flag. The red arrows do the same, but for NA'd items. Below from that, we have the green shield icons that bring you to the Next and Previous item that have a finding and recommendation. The book ones underneath that will bring you to your Next and Previous bookmarked areas. Under that, you've got the Search button, which will search for text in the search window, and Find Next. So if you search for something, pressing it once will bring you to the first finding of it. And then this button will bring you to every subsequent place that your search criteria matches. The broom will just clear out text from the edit window, like so. And the arrow will undo. Underneath that, these bottom two are a little bit more advanced. Therefore, creating a table. And the one with the triangle and the ruler is for renaming and reordering items within sections. At this point, you might have noticed if I leave my mouse cursor over any of these, it pops up a window, and also down at the bottom of the screen, if you put your mouse over it, it'll show you. We call them callouts, and every button in the program will do this. If you just want to know what a button does, just put your mouse cursor over it, leave it there for a second, and pop out will come and tell you exactly what it does. Now, for our next part, we'll actually take a look at the Force 5 survey itself. We start with the title page, where you can have a picture of the vessel you're surveying and its name. We also have some information about your company and your contact information down here, which is all information that you provide. Your place for your company logo on the next page, who's surveying it, some credentials if you have them, the date, that sort of thing. And then on the introduction, you can see we have 6 different sections. We consider 5 sections of the report plus a photograph section. But here's the 5 sections, starting with the introduction, which is some basic information about what type of survey it is and who it's for and who it was by. Then we have the general information, which is more specific to the vessel, such as the vessel's name and some bottom line numbers too, such as the estimated values. Then the third section we have is the system section, kind of the meat of your report. This is where you'll go over all the systems that you've surveyed and say a little something about them and describe them. If you found any problems, you can make a finding and then a recommendation on how to correct them. The system section is a special section because, for the most part, it's the only place you can insert a photo as part of that section. All other photos have to go into the photo section in the back, with only a couple of exceptions. Next, we'll move on to the findings and recommendations section, which is where any problems that you've found you will rate and describe, and then make some general recommendations on what the boat owner should do to correct it. The summary and valuation, which is really your bottom line of the report, and of course the photo sections where all the photos are kept. Here's more or less what it'll look like. All of you can find these sample surveys within Force 5 by opening up the second button on the left, which will open Survey Management. And there you'll have a samples folder, and if you go in that, we include 3 samples that you can take a look at to really get a feel for what the reports will look like. I'd recommend taking a look at Don Juan first. Now for actually entering your data into the report. In all sections, when you select them, as I said, you have an edit window. What I didn't say earlier was there's also a default window, which just shows you what your first item choice is. Which, now that we're into an item in the system section with some item choices, you see a couple other things light up here that weren't before, such as some actual item choices and, like I said, the default window. Now, to enter in your report what you're trying to say, you're going to enter your information into the edit window. And then just simply move on to the next item. You can do that by clicking here or here. And you'll see that the flag turns green to show that you've addressed that issue. It'll no longer show up saying that it's an unaddressed item, and it'll contribute towards your percentage complete at the top. As I said before, we have item choices that you can use. In order to get your item choice in the edit window, you can just double click on it and it'll add it. If you have it at the end of a line, it'll add it to the end. And as I said before, if you want to replace the edit window with an item choice, this button will do that for you. Now if you want to add a new item choice, you can type it out here and then click the button with the green plus and it'll get added to the bottom item choice. Item choices are specific to the item you're on. So if I go to fuel capacity, it has no item choices. But any surveys that I make in the future that use the same template as our demo survey will have our new item choice that I just created. If I no longer wish to have this item choice, I can highlight it by clicking on it and click the button with the red minus sign to get rid of it. It'll ask to confirm, and then it's gone. If the item you're addressing has a problem, you can do that with the Findings button. But findings can only be made in the System section. So let's go down to the System section. So if I found a problem with the port lights, I would have to say something about the port lights. I'll just put some text in here to make the light bulb for the Findings button light up. When you press on that, you can determine what kind of a finding, A, B, or C, and then click Add Finding. That'll change the Edit window to a Findings and Recommendations window. Here, you can state your finding, and in Recommendations, say something vague about what can be done to correct the issue. We also have item choices for recommendations that carry over for each items. These are the only item choices that do that. Even findings can have item choices, but like all other item choices, they're always specific to the item you're addressing, with the exception of the recommendations. Once you're finished adding your finding and recommendation, you can click on the Edit tab button to return to the Edit window. If you wish to remove a finding, click back on the Findings tab, click on the Findings and Recommendations light bulb button, and then remove finding. It'll ask to confirm first. And then you'll notice your finding is gone. You can also add photos to your survey by clicking on the Photo Management button on the left, third from the top. The top button here will allow you to select photos to import. For a single photo, you can just double click it and it'll be imported. For more than one photo, you can just draw a box over however many photos you want and then click on Open and we'll import them all in one shot. And then you can just press Save and they'll be in the photo section of your survey. If you want them to show up in the System section, select the item that you want to have the photo associated with. Import it as before, but this time, double check your General Settings tab. You'll need to switch the Print Pictures to in both System and Photo section. This setting will stay between surveys once you set it. Press Save. Now back in the item you want to associate a photo with, you'll see the Add Photo button is now colored. If you click on it, you'll see all available photos that you've imported. Clicking on one will show you a preview, and then the green arrow will add it to your survey. You can click the Pen and Paper button to return to the Edit window. If you want to see what your report will look like, or when you're ready to produce your final report, click the Printer button on the left. You can choose either Full or Condensed Report, and then click Preview. Force 5 will inform you of any unaddressed items that will be automatically NA'd for the report before continuing. Then, it will produce a PDF copy of your report and open it in your default PDF viewer. From here, you can save it anywhere you would like, however you save PDFs in your default PDF viewer. I'm using Firefox, so I'd click here, and then save wherever I would like. However, Force 5 automatically saves a copy of all PDFs produced in your Documents folder, PDF file, PDF Files folder. Now, all you need to do is attach it to an email and send it to your client. Thank you for watching this Force 5 Getting Started tutorial.